Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another absolutely fantastic, simply super episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have a leadership visionary, change catalyst, and growth expert. He's the best-selling author of Reinvent Yourself, an actor on TV shows. He was an undefeated amateur boxer. He raises funds and awareness for cancer research. I have to say, before I continue, talk about range, right? We got a range coming on this program here. I love it. Thrive Loud listeners, I bring you the transformational growth coach, Rick Denley. Rick, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Thrilled to be on this show and in front of your viewers. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you. We were connected from former guest, Paul McCaffrey, who you were on this program recently. Phenomenal show over there. And he got dressed for the part, folks, just to let you know. He said, you know what, I'm going to get suited up today and I'm going to look good. And he does look good. So I want to do a little rewind here. And this is a great conversation to have because the title of your book, the work that you do, helping people to basically figure out how you can have that real reinvention and that real growth that you need. I want to understand how this became your gig. So let's do a little rewind. I don't want to go all the way back to the womb, but I want to understand how what you're doing now, how this came to be.
Great. Good question. You know, I spent decades running multinational organizations and really enjoyed that sales background, sales leadership, and then more in the general manager type role. And after several decades of doing that, what I found was that I just wasn't having enough of an impact on enough people directly. And that's where I really flourish. So when you have the ability to align your passion along with a purpose, then you're going to feel fulfilled. So I made a change. And yeah, I reinvented myself and moved out of the corporate world where now I do the personal coaching where necessary and get on stages to help people understand how they can harness the energy necessary to make major changes in a positive direction for themselves. And really at the end of the day, how do we become the best version of ourselves? And the only way to do it is, of course, to change and grow.
Okay. Let's go down this avenue here. We're going to have fun things. Changing and growing, right? We're always changing and growing, whether we like the directions of growth, although my top of my head might follically disagree with this. But we're always changing and growing in some form or fashion. How do we change and grow in a way that that strums our heartstrings, that taps into the things that we like? Because a lot of times we got a lot of distractions, a lot of factors, a lot of things to work around. How do you help direct people to change and grow in the way they want to?
Tremendous. And that's the whole idea. You know, it's funny. I love to take the stage on occasion with my little friend here. and I take the stage and I say to people, look, it's in there. It's been rattling around in your mind for weeks, months, maybe years. How and the person that you want to grow into at the end of the day, you know what it is. It's just a matter of getting it out and executing on it. And that's where people get stalled, you know, because it involves change. Now, listen, you know, there's only three constants in the world, right? There's death. Can't do much about that. There's taxes. I leave those to my accountant. And then there's change. And change is a tough one for people. But since change is the main constant that we need to get better at, and I know people say, well, you know, do you like change? People say, oh yeah, I love change, but we don't. You know, we've got this old reptilian style brain that's tens of thousands of years old that doesn't understand or want change. Oh, we're told we should like change. We should embrace change, but we really don't. To get better at change and become adaptable is the key. So you have to love change, rewire the brain that change is good on a constant basis, and then get on with it. You know the number one reason people don't change to grow into the person they want to be? It's fear.
Yeah, 100%.
It's fear, bro. It's fear. Let me tell you, all the time. Well, I'm scared too. You know, people say, well, change is hard. Change hurts. Change doesn't hurt. Resistance to change. Now that's going to hurt you. So we have to somehow harness that fear energy and move it forward into the direction we want it to go. Once you do that, change becomes your friend and it gets you to where you want to be. So at the end of the day, helping people get past fear and become the best person they can be is what it's all about.
Thrive Loud listeners, we've had almost 1,000 episodes on this program, and I cannot believe that the skull has only made it on this episode once. I like how you just rattled him off. I thought this was going to be an analogy of this is where you can get to and where you will be if you don't change soon enough.
This is what we don't want to end up like, right? So we need to make that change. Be the best person we can be.
Flesh off that mortal coil, if you will. Well, but I'm glad you bring this up, that it's rattling around within our heads and
Sure.
in our souls, and it's inside of us. And a lot of times the hard part is trying to figure out exactly what it is. Because, there are a lot of people who know exactly what their passion and their thing is. It's been very well defined for them, or it's come out in an earlier age. Maybe they just recognized it, or a lot of people don't really know it. And I always joke that if you look at someone's career path, from where they are now and looking backwards, there's a logical steps on how you get there. But when you're looking and trying to climb up the mountain, sometimes that's uncertain. It's cloudy. Like they have to go through the clouds to go through it. Rick, I'd love to hear, when it comes to helping people reinvent themselves, talk about ways that they can tactically start to figure out how they can change. I know you have steps and processes in this reinvention of what's going on. We would love a little dose of it if you could.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Look, it does come down to a formula. And first off, people have to understand something. I'm a recovering engineer. All right, my first formal training was in engineering. So if you need a formula and a process, I can do all that. But I got away from that years ago when I started focusing on people as opposed to processes. But there are steps that can help us get there. And certainly defining where it is you want to go at the beginning is one of the most important things. Once you get that defined, don't worry about how you're going to get there. People get caught up in the minutia. We don't want to do that right now. And your goals to who you want to be and what you want to be should be so big that you don't know how you're going to get there. The other thing is that you're going to have to change. You're going to have to change a lot to get there. Okay. The skills, tools, and knowledge that you have that have gotten you to where you are not what's going to get you to where you need to be going forward. So keep that in mind. It's crucial for us. So yeah, there is a formula. We identify the barriers that are stopping you from getting where you want to be. And we look at how to tackle each one of those. You mentioned the book, and that's why I wrote the book, because not everybody is inherently good at reinventing themselves through change. I've had so much change in my life. And there's only the two types of change, remember, too. There's the type of change that we initiate and we hold ourselves accountable for it. We tend to be pretty passionate about it. I'm going in this direction. I'm going to make a major change, and here's how it's going to end up. Then there's the change that comes our way that we didn't ask for. And we've seen enough of that over the last few years, haven't we? But either type of change, we need to get out in front and lead. Create a plan and execute on it. Harness that fear energy. Identify your barriers to get past and how you're going to do it. Have that circle of friends and people that support you. And a lot of people say, well, hustle in silence until you're successful. I disagree. Put it out there to everybody. What that does is helps the universe conspire to support you and those around you. And by the way, you'll find out who your real friends are when you put it out there and you need their support going forward. These are all some of the steps to help us get to where we want to be through reinvention and change.
Rick, you had to go through a process and development of things that you needed to learn to help yourself change from one role to another. Would love to hear what you personally did to get yourself into this position as the speaker, the thought leader, the visionary in the stuff that you're doing. What were some of the ongoing learning things that you did for yourself to add to your toolkit so that you can be better at what you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. I want to refer to what you mentioned was a little bit of the philanthropy that I do. And I was looking for something that would combine physical activity because I like to stay in shape. It's important for us to stay healthy and also give back somehow. And listen, all your viewers know, and I'm sure that they've all been touched somehow by that terrible disease, cancer. I know that a lot of my family and friends have been touched by it as well. So I wanted to do something to help the awareness and funds towards cancer research and solving this disease. So I combined that when a buddy of mine told me about this event that's held every year where they just take these white collar people and turn us into boxers. And it's called Fight Tank Cancer. And I thought, well, okay, I'm going to push myself outside my comfort zone here a lot and join this and train. And 8 months later, step in the ring at a gala style event as a amateur carded fighter to fight cancer. Now, this really helped me learn a lot about myself and how to change. And it was interesting during one of the sessions when we finally got to the sparring where you're stepping in the ring and you got the headgear on and literally you're going to get punched one way or the other. And one of our fight instructors, after a couple of rounds of this, came to me and said, you know, Rick, I'm going to share something with you. Said, your ego is not your amigo. And putting my ego aside was one of the biggest challenges for me to change, because we all like to think that we're good at what we're doing and we're strong in these areas. But when we realize that we've got this long pathway that we're going to have to learn and even unlearn the things of the past, that's when you start to become more successful in moving forward with the change that you want to see in yourself and those around you as well.
I was going to hit upon this point to an analogy that I think is very appropriate. One of my favorite quotes comes from Mike Tyson, is that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And we all know that that's very true. And when it comes to reinventing yourself, it is never a smooth path. There are lots of things to dodge and lots of hits that you take along the way. Sometimes those hits can not only get you off course, but those hits can stunt you or stunt the growth that's there. To those that are out there that are in the midst of making that change and that reinvention, or finding it hard or finding it challenging or finding it that uphill climb, words of wisdom from you and someone on how they can fight through that challenge.
Well, first off, let's realize it's progress, not perfection. Just keep moving forward. You're going to get knocked down. Get yourself back up and move forward. You're going to get knocked back. Step back in. And just keep moving forward. That's one of the most important things on this journey. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be easy. You are going to encounter things that you didn't even anticipate. But it's that consistency of moving forward that's important. Angela Duckworth wrote a great book called Grit. And after researching hundreds of different people that are successful in whatever that means to you, she boiled it down to two main factors that she calls grit. And that's passion and persistence. If you're passionate about what you're doing, stay persistent at it. People that are passionate and persistent end up getting to where they want to be. Listen, it's all important too to build that network, as I mentioned, around to support you during those challenging times going forward. Listen, one thing we have to remember about change is that it's the only way that we grow. And remember, with change, it's a little scary at first. Really, really messy in the middle, believe me. And then really beautiful at the end. So stay with it. Get to the end of it. And listen, if you're going through hell with your change, keep going. You'll get through it.
Mr. Rick Denley, you have been thriving in your career and your passion. For those who are watching the video, he's got a stage presence. He's probably so much fun to listen to on as a keynote speaker. Go check him out. Go check out his website. We'll give the plug section there. We'll get to in a minute. But I want to ask this question. You have been thriving in what you've been doing today. Yeah. Yet we all know, like getting knocked down, we all have those days where we're not quite kicking on all cylinders and we're a little off our game.
Sure.
The listeners and myself would love to know what practice you seek out or what individual you look to when you're off the thriving track to get yourself back on it.
Yeah, I love to listen to motivational videos. And because of the boxing theme that I got into, watching the Rocky movies, the Creed movies and things helps pick me up again. I think actually I want to go a little bit softer on this, if you will. And it's interesting because one of the things I talk about on stage right now more than anything else is courageous leadership. And people think, oh, courageous leadership, and got to be courage and things. What it actually means is going to the softer side of things, the people side of things, being an empathetic leader, having humility. And that's towards ourselves as well. You are not going to be 100% every day. So giving 100% just means giving the best that you can on that day. There's days where I'm not 100%. I'll be upfront with you, whether it's physically, mentally, whatever it might be. You know, you'll watch my blogs and my videos, and I go walk my dog Rusty and clear my head a little bit. You don't always have to be on. Give yourself a break. Okay. Even top athletes, even top professionals are not 100% all the time. Give what you can that day, bounce back the next day. Be easy on yourself. Give yourself a break when needed. And that's going to help you through those challenging times as well.
I think we just started a trend. I think we just did this. To your point, if you look on social media, if you look across where people are promoting themselves, people like yourselves, you always see the highlight reels, right? You always see the motivational messages and everything.
Always.
I think we literally need, we'll call it couch potato week, right? I think everybody should feature like the downtime activity that they're doing to recharge. Like if it's watching a silly movie, it shows them on the couch. It literally could be playing a board game.
I love that idea.
Reading a book. I think it should be a theme. Like everyone that week has to just share the thing that is not the fun, motivational, jumpy, I'm out on the stage screaming. I want to see the veg moment. I don't want to see people hair made up, suit all dressed up. I want t-shirt, like untucked, like casual. Yeah. I wear like basketball shorts all the time. I want that.
Realistic.
We need like a week of that. Like basically show what like college life is like for sophomores and juniors pretty much all year long. Like that's the look we want, I think. You think we can find that?
Yeah.
Think we can start that? I think we should.
I love the idea. And you know what else it does? Help you connect with people. I get on stages and people, I'll tell you a quick story if I can. Yeah. When I wrote the draft of this, I sent it over to one of my sons who's quite a literary. And I said, hey, you know what? Give this a read for me and let me know what you think about it. And he did. He got back to me. He said, well, first off that, it's written in your voice, which is good. You know, you wrote it in your voice, which is nice. And it's not a bad book for a middle-aged, entitled white guy. And I was like, you know, he really gave it to me, which he should. And I started to realize, you know what? People aren't hearing the real story behind my changes. Again, I'm showing them all the good side. And there was some really challenging times and sides to it. Then I realized that's what people need to hear because that's what they're going through as well. And if you're going to relate to people, whether it be a leader or writing in a book, make sure you show them the tough times too that they're going through. So a couple things came out of that. Number one, there's co-authors in here that write chapters for me. There's a couple of ladies that have been successful in their careers in different areas and what they went through. One has a not-for-profit organization. One happens to be my partner, Laura, and she's amazing in what she's done and come back from. And then one was one of my boxing coaches. When I was going through these events, he didn't have the upbringing I did. He had a lot of challenges as a child, a lot of trouble in the teen years as well, and how he got through those. So he's in this book too. So we've got some variety in there so we can relate to people. Several months into that training for the fight to end cancer, it was a January day. In fact, it was the Monday. They call it Blue Monday. And it's probably the most depressing day. And it's like the second Monday of January. I'm heading to the gym. And, you know, I live up here in Niagara Falls. And I took a video of myself. And I have that one. And I use it in my talks to show people that, yeah, I can be down and out too. And it's drizzling. It's dark. It's cold. And I'm going into this gym where I have to work out again. It was not a good moment. It was definitely a low of all of this training and energy that I was exerting and focus on this. But you come back from it as well. And I won't share this story with you, but that's for people that come to some of my keynotes. But I'll share with you 3 key things that my coach and mentor did for me in the gym that evening that turned that around for me.
Yeah, I'm listening. Bring it. What are those 3 things?
Well, listen, the first thing that he did was that he made sure that he showed empathy. You know, we're in a gym, we're in a boxing gym, it's a Rocky style gym, and it's all tough and so on. He showed empathy, he sat me down, he said, I know this is hard. I know this is probably more physically, mentally, and emotionally than you ever imagined. And I said, yeah. And then he said to me, why are you here? I said, well, I'm here to win my fight in a couple months. He said, no, you're here to fight for those who can't,
right, that
are fighting cancer. I said, yeah, that's true. And then he said to me, who's on your cancer dedication plaque? And I took a minute and I looked at him and I said, my mom. He goes, why? I said, breast cancer. So what he did there was show me some empathy. Then he realigned my passion with the purpose. And then what did he do at the end too? It kind of ignited me, kind of lit that fire again. And that's what good leaders do nowadays. So that's just an example for people too.
Love it. Let's do the admin part of the show. Share with the listeners all the places people can find the Rick Denley, websites, URL, social handles before we go down Fun Street. And they always will engage better when they hear it from you.
Well, I appreciate that. On the daily, they can find blogs that I put out, and on Instagram, Rick Denley. Pretty simple. Same under my name on LinkedIn. You'll see some of my very professional posts there on how they can get better. It's a little more casual on Instagram, which is great. And then you can go to my website, www.rickdenley.com, where there's blogs up there, as well as a monthly newsletter that we put out and further information. And if they want a copy of that book, they can just jump on Amazon and pick it up there, have it delivered right to the door.
Rick Denley was born on Fun Street, but we're going to navigate there. Can we start off by sharing with all the listeners and viewers what you shared with me is one of your all-time favorite movies?
Six Underground. Okay. And if you haven't seen it, it's one of the first Netflix-specific movies that was produced.
Okay.
And a few reasons why I like it. First off, the main star in it is Ryan Reynolds, fellow Canadian. And I love Ryan Reynolds, and he's brilliant in everything that he does, and he's a great guy. It's a good movie because it's based on how a multi-billionaire becomes philanthropist and actually goes after a small country which is not very kind to their people on the human rights side of things, and the endeavor that he goes through and how he puts himself at risk to actually do this. And it's based on a true story. So it's a great action-packed movie as well. The first 15 minutes of it is by far the best car chase I've ever seen. And I love car chases, and I'm into them all. So, hey, if you're into that type of movie, check it out.
Somebody ranked the car chases in like all the different movies and includes all the Fast and Furious movies, but it's actually the best car chase. If you ever go see The French Connection is one of my favorites. I mean, it's like
French Connection is a great one as well. You can't forget the Steve McQueen one through San Francisco as well.
That's true. Then again, of course, the infamous Blues Brothers one with the pileup of 65 cars that the city of Chicago was trying to get rid of in the state of Illinois. So I digress, but I continue to move forward. Okay. We're going to do the speed round here. This is what we love to call our speakeasy pub crawl. We're going to go to all the favorite stops that you love to go through.
Let's see what you got.
He's got his guns up. I've got a few extra bonus questions here.
Let's
go through this. To start off, share with us a song recently that is on your brain or that you've been connecting with of late.
It's good. Now I'm going to forget the name of the artist who pulled in the Older Gentleman country song and so on, all about men and how difficult it is for men. And I'm staggering. I'm sorry. I'm not going to, it's Dax. It's a very good song, and it's all about men and the challenges that men have and how they hide them, internalizing and so on. I apologize. I'm not pulling up the name of it right now.
It's okay. We'll get it. Producers will do some research afterwards. Favorite food that is not a dessert?
Favorite food that is not a dessert? By all means, pasta. I love a nice pasta.
Favorite dessert?
Apple pie. A la mode.
And from a Canadian. I like that. An activity you wish you did more of?
Stand-up paddleboarding. I'm fortunate to be here right on Lake Erie, and of course, 6 months of the year, can't really do that. So the more I can get out on the paddleboard, the better. It's a great physical activity, and also somewhat for me, kind of like just the whole mental part of it as well, relaxing.
So it's very therapeutic. I could see that. An activity you wish you did less of?
Standing at my desk like this. I'd much rather be in front of people and working with them than in front of the computer screen, to be honest.
An activity that's relatively new to you that you like so much you want to tell everybody else to try that new activity.
Geez. I don't know if I can say this, but car racing. Car racing.
Okay. Why wouldn't you be able to say car racing?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a little dangerous for some people. I don't know. I've been a gearhead all my life. My dad and I rebuilt cars way back when and so on. And just getting on the track now, later part of my life, has been quite a thrill. So something new as well.
Love it. If I could snap my fingers and Rick Denley could be anywhere in the world, where are you?
It's a really good question. I just want to give it some quick thought here.
Sure.
There's a little island in Bahamas that's not very well known, and it's a great quiet spot. And off the back of it, it's fairly private, and you can swim with the turtles. I love snorkeling.
Ooh, okay.
I think if I had to go somewhere, it would be there.
Rick Denley, transformational growth coach here on Thrive Loud. Reinvent yourself. Hey, continue doing what you're doing, man. The world needs more of you. Got your guns up. The extra bonus question before we leave here. We know that you watch the Rocky movies and you like them, and you watch some of the recent ones. What are your top three? I think there were like 8 Rocky movies. I have no idea, but I've lost it. If you count the Creed movies, right? There were 3 Creeds.
Well, yeah, and then there were the 3 Creed movies.
There were 6 Rockies. So we got 9 Rockies. So, okay. So of those movies, which, give me your top 3.
Top 3. The original, just because it started the entire trend. Really like surprisingly maybe, but the Hulk Hogan one was a lot of fun.
Oh, Rocky
and I like the fun in that movie as well.
Yeah.
And second Creed movie, if we count that in the series.
That was
and there's a great line in that movie that I want to share with you. And Rocky himself is in the dressing room with Creed before he goes on to the fight. And he says to him, and because I experienced this as well inside of me, he said, those 3 steps into the ring are the loneliest you're ever going to take. And I took those 3 steps, and I couldn't imagine it until it happened to me, because we had over 1,000 people for my gala event, and they're cheering and things, and it's amazing. And I had my adult kids there and my father and everybody cheering on and so on. You start taking those steps up, everything goes quiet, and you definitely are alone. And you look to the left, there's nobody. You look to the right, and there's nobody. And I'll share with the viewers just today as well. It's really up to you at the end of the day. You know, it's great to have support mechanisms in place and things, but when you step into the ring for whatever fight through change that you're going through, it's all about you.
Courageous leader, Rick Denley, man. Mic drop. Thanks for coming on Thrive Loud. Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
To all the listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.